there was not even a dream that India would be entering into a period of emergency. What happened that Indira Gandhi has to go for the period of emergency? Let us discuss the key points. There are two main points which made Indira Gandhi to go towards democratic imbalance or move towards the emergency setup. What is the 2 points that made them to go towards the emergency point is that first point is that in 1971 or the People's Representative Act of 1971, the Allahabad court gave a judgment that Indira Gandhi is no more a member of Lok Sabha because she made some mistakes or she could not fulfill some criteria which are mentioned in the People's Representative Act of 1971. So the Allahabad court gave a judgment mentioning clearly, which means that Indira Gandhi is no more a member of parliament, which means she is not eligible to be in the post of the Prime Minister. This is the clear strategy of the Allahabad court, which is the judgment's clear picture is this. So which means that Indira Gandhi cannot be sitting on the chair of Prime Minister. The second point is that she immediately moved on to the Supreme Court and got stay on the particular issue. Later, the other important issue what is going on the other side of the coin is that Jayaprakash Narayanan issue was going on very seriously going against it, because Indira Gandhi promised that the prices will be cut down and she is going to meet the requirements of all the people and all people will be satisfied in all contexts. That is the concept of Garibi Hatao. So everybody is going to be fit and fine and wealthy according to her promises which were made in 1971. But she could not fulfill them. So Jayaprakash Narayanan started tour the entire nation, and growing dissatisfaction against Indira Gandhi is going to be accommodated by Jayaprakash Narayanan. So keeping in these 2 points in view, she immediately moved on after a few days towards the emergency point and she declared emergency. In emergency, it's a cover to do whatever the government want to do. It's like the basic fundamental rights are cancelled. There were no fundamental rights for any individual and all the fundamental rights were cancelled, and immediately there were many steps taken, and the reason put forth to put emergency in India is to save democracy, in order to restore democracy, because there is a political disturbance in the nation, and in order to restore democracy, in order to curb the movement of Jayaprakash Narayanan growing dissatisfaction against the Indira Gandhi, so she came up with a view of emergency, curbing the political movements. No political leaders can do any campaigning, no group gathering at any point of time, and finally she started to implement them with a harsh, and police and military were in action and she implemented them very strictly. At the same time, she did some good things also. The oil prices, the prices hike were put down, and she also brought them into control. There were forced sterilizations, bonded labor was banned, and there are some good points, but the forced bonded labor was banned and we got the family sterilizations to be forcibly done for the control of population. In this way, they went on doing all the things, but without having the civic sense of the people. The prices were reduced, they got control of the people, there is no gathering of the people, there was no bonded labor, there was no zamindari system, there were no taxes. In this way, there are some positive points, but finally when it comes to the civic responsibilities, when there are no fundamental rights, it was violated completely. Indira Gandhi banned completely the fundamental rights, which was not acceptable to any of the people at that point of time. And she brought serious amendment in the constitution, that is 42nd constitutional amendment, making it power of excellence that the state governments, the central governments will have more enormous powers, and she will ensure that no court will have any dispute settlements of the election issues. One is the central government and state governments will get enormous powers. No government or no state or the high courts or the Supreme Courts will have any say in the election disputes. And moving on to the third point, the judiciary was reduced completely lower than the parliament. Actually, it is reduced down and parliament is made supreme, and the decisions of the parliament will be subsiding on the decisions of the Supreme Court. In this way, she brought the historical 42nd amendment, which was a very curbing on the authorities of the Supreme Court in particular. Now from these points we can get into clarity that the India has ever seen such kind of situation, like where the fundamental rights are being not granted or nulled, and the fundamental rights were made it to be clear that nobody is going to ask about it, and military action was in progress. No leaders are allowed to roam outside, or all the opposition leaders are arrested and there was a saying that the number of jails were required was increased and number of prisoners were filled in all the jails, and the prisoners are none other than all the politicians, especially the famous politicians who are right now alive, were once upon a time in jail during the period of emergency period. And it is also very clear that the 42nd Amendment is not an adding fabric for democracy, but it is actually diluting the fabric of democracy, because the Supreme Court is given independent judiciary to check any laws and issues which are against the interest of the people, and here the 42nd Amendment is curbing them and bringing down to the authority of the Parliament, and Parliament is made supreme here, the power of excellence. This is completely the personalization of the government in the Indira Gandhi's point of view, as it was expressed by the opposition leaders of that point of time. So emergency movement is really a very crucial moment. In this 30 years of span from 1947 to 1977, India has seen a single party dominance, a multi-party system, the single party losing its elections, again regaining its elections, again the single party, an individual taking over the entire control of the nation and keeping a historical emergency against it, and we have seen the various fates and shades of the issue. Let us see in the next 30 years what happened for India in the next part of the lesson.